Man, that's some stout. Holy cow, that's not a bookshelf speaker. That's a monster. Their bookshelf really is the equivalent of most manufacturers' monitor speakers. I mean, these are huge, three-way design. Like I said, we got 28 millimeter tweeter, 5 1/4, I believe, mid-range driver, 8-inch woofer. Man, these are gonna make for some incredible surrounds, and they're gorgeous. After a ton of emails back and forth with customs, the Arendal 1528 Bookshelf 8 as well as the stands are here, and we're gonna get those unboxed and set up in my living room here. As you can see, we've previously done a video on, actually a couple of videos. We did an unboxing of the Tower 8s, and then we also did a final review just on a 2-channel setup, no subwoofer. So over the next several days and maybe even a couple of weeks, we're gonna be setting this up in a 5.1 setup. So we'll have the pair of the Tower 8s. We've got the Bookshelf 8s that are gonna be the surrounds, the side surrounds, or that'll be to the left and right of my couch. And then we'll also be getting in the monster Center 8 Plus. Now the Center 8 Plus is every bit of as large as the towers. Just think of the tower, lay it on its side, and it's gonna go right there. Arendal Sound recently announced their largest and most capable speakers that they have ever made. Say hello to their new flagship speakers, the 1528 series. Arendal loaned me the Tower 8, the Center 8 Plus, and the Surround 8 speakers to test in my living room. They also make a slightly smaller Center 8 as well as the Slim 8 speakers that have a smaller profile. I'm really excited about this new series. I'll have a full review here on the channel within the next few weeks, and I'll also link to this new series down in the description below. All right, let's go ahead and get the first bookshelf speaker unboxed here. So these are gonna be a 3-way design. So back here you can see we've got the 28 millimeter tweeter, we've got a 5 1/4 inch mid-range, and then we've got an 8-inch aluminum base driver. So basically this is gonna be a small version of this tower. So pretty excited to check these out. Got a double box. We'll remove the first box and we'll get to the inner box here. All right, these speakers are no joke. They weigh in at about 66 pounds. And so that's a pretty massive bookshelf speaker. So you got your white gloves, some little rubber feet for the bottom of them. On top, we've got our magnetic and metal speaker grills. So we got one there. I'll have one on the other side. Of course, we got nice thick padding, our cloth Arendal cover. Actually, now that I think about it, there's only going to be one speaker grill, because that's going to go for that 8-inch driver. Mid-range already has one on it. All right, let's go and flip it the other way. So down here we just got this little can't tell you how many times when I unbox these, I flip them up, flip them over, flip them up, flip them over. Get quite the workout. And these are going to be the same basalt finish. They also come with a polar finish. So if you want them white, you get them that way as well. All right, so down here we've got screw holes on the bottom. So that tells me that these are probably going to be able to be screwed into the bottom of the stands that they sent me. Back here, got a port plug. So you can run these sealed or ported. And then down here we've got the same exact binding post setup, real thick jumpers, and then even your attenuators back here for your mid-range and your high frequency. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna put on the gloves handling these just so I don't get a ton of fingerprints on them. All right, so let's flip this over. Man, that's some stout. Holy cow, that's not a bookshelf speaker. That's a monster. Their bookshelf really is the equivalent of most manufacturers' monitor speakers. I mean, these are huge, 3-way design. Like I said, we've got 28 millimeter tweeter, 5 1/4, I believe, mid-range driver, 8-inch woofer. Man, these are gonna make for some incredible surrounds, and they're gorgeous. Love the finish on these. I shared with you in the unboxing and the overview, as well as the review of the Tower 8s. I just love a lot of the design aspect, like this, even just having this gap right here, the curvature on the top and the front. Man, so not quite as much curve, of course, because these are shorter speakers, but we still got this nice curve right here on this front baffle. All of the speakers are timelined to each other. Man, just a beautiful, beautiful speaker. I love the craftsmanship of Arendal. Everything I've ever reviewed from them, I mean, just the fit, the finish, just the attention to detail, these little angled corners here. Just super, super nice. Even this back plate, just really high quality. Got our little jumpers here so we can pull these out. So I noticed that at first these are pretty difficult to pop out, but then over time they get easier. So now these Tower 8s that they sent me, they're not prototypes, but they're pre-production models. So they told me that these do not work on the Tower, so I'm assuming the same thing is on these. I think they're making some final tweaks before they begin actually producing these for the general public. So we're just gonna leave them in their default reference position here for the review and for my testing. So I'll probably run them both ways, but since I've got these ported, I'll probably have these ported as well as surrounds. So let's go ahead and get the stand unboxed, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so according to Arendal, these are pretty much like prototypes, and so there may be quite a few changes with the tower, center channel, and the bookshelf speakers. Those are pre-production, so they may make like some tiny changes to maybe the crossover settings or something like that. But the overall design and everything, the functionality of it, that really isn't going to change. But with a prototype model, these very well could change. So we're not going to spend much time on this part, but I will show you what they look like and just share a few thoughts on this. We got probably our top plate here. And here we've got, feels like the same feet that are on the Tower 8, probably just a little bit smaller. Well, it might actually be the same size. So those are really, really thick. We've got 4 of those. That'll be for the feet. We've got a couple screws, more screws, more screws, more screws. Lots of screws. Allen wrench. Another bracket. And then the logo. So we'll lay that off to the side. All right, still more thick padding, even for their stands, which is really cool. So down at the very bottom, we've got a really thick base plate, really heavy too. Nice. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I cheated. I saw Villaman's video, and he has the stand, so that'll probably help me out a little bit on the assembly, since so you don't have any instructions in here. Again, these are prototype, so they're still finalizing the design, so there's no reason in making instructions for them just yet. So those are not double boxed. I'll pull this off. So I'm assuming these are probably the same exact foot that we have on the Tower 8s. So those are going to lock in like that right there, and then we'll screw those into the bottom. Got a second one right here. And that'll go like that. I don't know if I've ever seen a company take as much pride even in their boxing and packaging. I mean, who takes a center channel stand and wraps it in a cloth? So again, to me, I just think that speaks volumes to Arendal's commitment to just excellence. So really thick middle piece here. So So we're just gonna take our screws, we'll get those attached to the base plate, get the feet attached to the base, and then we'll attach the plate to the top. If you want to watch kind of an in-depth, I'll just send you a link to Villaman's video. Another thing I'm noticing, so we've got padding right here, so it's not just metal on metal. That'll help greatly with resonance. So if the speaker, you know, when it's performing and bass is being reproduced, you don't have to worry about the sound being, and that's solid. And listen to that. So that's great because a lot of times when you buy speaker stands, you really need to fill them with something like sand, or some people put rice in them, really to make them dense, because typically they're hollow, and that hollow metal will resonate when your bass is really kicking in with your towers. And so the great thing is they've already thought of that. So this thing is rock solid. So I definitely like that. So just a quick tip, the 4 longest screws are gonna go right here, securing the bass to this middle column. The 4 or 8 smallest screws are gonna go right here to hold these in. Originally I put in the medium one. I didn't realize there was 2 different sizes and they didn't fit, so I had to pull those out. So longest screws, smallest screws, and then when we flip it up, we've got 8 more screws. So that'll secure this top plate on here with the medium screws. And then we'll take 4 more medium screws and screw from the bottom of this into the bookshelf speakers. And then the last piece, you're gonna have these 2 little brackets. So this will allow you to do a little bit of cable management for your speaker wire. So we'll attach one there, one here, and the screws you're gonna use for this, they're pretty long, but they're the thinnest, most narrow screws in the bag. So we'll go ahead and get those attached as well. All right, we got this fully assembled. We've got our 2 feet installed. We've got the top plate, the base plate. We've got these little cable managements back here. Now I chose to route one that faces to the right and the other one that faces to the left. That way the cable, you know, has a better chance of staying in there. And I'll probably even cable tie it just to make it even more secure. So now the next step is we're gonna get the bookshelf speakers, place them up here, put our 4 screws in the bottom, these 4 remaining ones, and secure the speaker to the stand. But man, overall, just really, really nice build quality. I chose to put this line on the top part. So I imagine just depending on how you want it to look, that's just for style preference. So you can see here, this is gonna be near the top, but you can flip that up, you know, facing down, so that line is at the bottom if you prefer. Just make sure when you're installing these to put the cable management at the rear when you put the speaker on there. That way you don't fasten it on there backwards and have to undo it. Now, one thing that'll make it easier for you to install the screws is to flip the speaker upside down, especially if you have the larger monitor speakers. Those are a lot heavier than even the bookshelves. Take the stand, line up the holes, and we'll go ahead and secure our 4 screws. Now, if it gets a little tight, I recommend just lifting it up a little bit. Just make sure that it's started quite a bit before you put any kind of wrench to it. The last thing you want to do is have these like they're at an angle right now. We need to straighten it up back here. And I wouldn't tighten them all down until you at least get all 4 started. So one thing I noticed when you're installing these, just because this base plate is so heavy, you want to make sure that you align this and go ahead and hand tighten them. And that way you know that you're not cross threading them. You don't want to get those screws in there crooked. Then once they're aligned, and you've already got them started, you can finish tightening them down. And now we're good to go. So we'll go ahead and get the other pair assembled and get them set up in my living room. All right, so we've got the bookshelf 8s installed. Got both of the towers. I actually really like, this actually turned out a lot nicer than I thought. Don't even have to cable tie it or zip tie it. Keeps the cable nice and snug right there. You can see we've got banana plugs installed. Makes it easier. And we've got our second surround speaker mounted right here. Now, one thing I can already see is these stands are about 24 inches tall, roughly. And I'm hoping that Arendal makes even a taller one. So maybe a 24 and a 36. If you're gonna use these as surrounds, depending on how high your couch is or your seats are, You may need to mount those a little bit higher. To me, I think these probably need to go maybe another foot higher. You can see right here. So more than likely for the review, I'm gonna get out my other taller speaker stands and put them on there for the review. But just for now, I wanted to check out kind of how they look and just get them set up. So pretty much same exact speaker as the towers, just a little bit smaller, but still massive, beefy bookshelf speaker. Now I'll be doing a full review of this entire system. So we've got the Tower 8s up here, the Bookshelf 8s here. Right over here, we've got the massive center channel. That is the Center 8 Plus, basically as big as this. So I'm gonna get this unboxed in another video. And then tonight, Gene Delasala from Audioholics as well as Don Dunn are coming over. We're gonna do some testing in here. I think he's even gonna take some measurements. So be sure to check out his channel for his video. And of course, I'm gonna need some help getting that big boy up on here. 184 pounds. It's gonna be incredible. Hope you guys have an incredible week. God bless, and we will catch you in the next video.